All right, there's a lot of excitement in the air, but it seems to be a little bit of a bummer. Rishabh Pant also seems to be out, so India is in a bit of trouble here. But nonetheless, as we said, there's a lot of cheer and praise for India, and South Africa, of course, also is a very deserving team. So let's see, let the best win. Sports are sports, and the challenges of everyday life is as it is. Let's just focus at what seems to be an infrastructure SOS. T1 terminal remained closed today in the national capital after the roof collapsed on Friday. And AIIMS Trauma Center has struggled through water inundation. AIIMS, let me tell you, is not just a Delhi's high, extremely robust and a critical hospital service. It's literally one of the most critical hospital infrastructures for the entire country. There were stalled surgeries there and emergency admissions were impacted. Neurosurgery operation theatres had to be shut down for a few hours. The basement area of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in the National Capital area continued to remain flooded during the day for several hours on Saturday as well. Roads came to a complete standstill in Delhi, in the National Capital region, whether it be Delhi or the neighbouring areas like Dwarka, Gurgaon, with that one record rainfall of the worst in 88 years. Commuting became a nightmare on Friday as roads turned into rivers. Imagine 13 deaths in the national capital since yesterday, including the 3 labourers and 2 children. And it's not just a Delhi story. The canopy of Rajkot in Gujarat airport collapsed after just one spell of heavy rain. Thankfully, unlike the Delhi incident, there were no injuries in the Rajkot incident, but it has raised several questions over the state of our infrastructure push, with third such incident in 3 days. On Thursday, canopy at Jabalpur airport had collapsed, damaging an unoccupied car. This happened at the new terminal building at the Dumna airport, which was inaugurated by the Prime Minister earlier this year on the 10th of March. And it cost at least 450 crore rupees to build it. Does this mean crores are going down the drain? And remember, at one time earlier this year, almost all roads led to Ram Mandir, especially for the consecration. Ram Path is the road that leads to the Ram Mandir. And now, post-rainfall, the road has been damaged.
राजकोट एयरपोर्ट पर बनी हुई एयरपोर्ट के बाहर की कैनोपी, चंदवा, छत आज गिर गई। 11 महीने भी नहीं हुए हैं। देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद आके इसका इनॉग्रेशन करके गए थे। भाई, मुक्त भ्रष्टाचार हो रहा है, इसका ये नमूना है। अगर 11 महीने में कैनोपी गिर जाती है, ये तो अच्छा हुआ कि उस वक्त पे उसके नीचे कोई नहीं था, वरना किसी इंसान की जान चली जाती। जिम्मेवार कौन इसके लिए?
Okay, and if my team can also have the visuals of what happened in Bihar up on our screens. 5th bridge in Madhubani in Bihar has collapsed. 5th bridge across Bihar, for that matter, in just a span of 11 days has collapsed. That's the visual on your screen. Look at what we are really talking about. Let me introduce my panelists at this point. R.S. Patania, who's the spokesperson for BJP. Neeraj Mishra, who's the spokesperson for Congress. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary for Ministry of Urban Development. He'll be joining us in a short while from now. And Bhavreen Kandhari, who's an environmentalist and member for My Right to Breathe. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. Bhavreen, to you first. I know the mood of the country right now is really cricket, but this also is the reality of our country. And cricket may sway us temporarily, but this is what we have to live long term.
Yes, Sneha, definitely. And I also wish that as many number of millions of people who are, they are one and they're like your story was just saying that they are unified in their approach for cricket. They would also be unified in making the governments accountable for all this mess and whatever has been happening, in terms of failed urban planning, which really isn't about just roads and buildings and parks, throughout the years that we see. It's clearly now visible that things that we highlight over the, whole months of the last year and years before that, that it's also about sewage, it's also about stormwater drains, it's also about water conservation. And then further coming to, of course, accountability, there's corruption, and we see that the builders are connecting the water into the wrong channels to make sure there's all the concretization, which is illegal, which is covering storm water drains. There is the wetlands are being encroached upon, the drainage is being compromised. So when we forget all these important connections of town planning, the result is what we see. And it is, after all, the citizens, what we want is a livable city, not a smart city, for whatever that means, because it's far, far away from smart what we are looking at. And to ordinary citizens, it just means that we have to protect. There is no choice about protecting the forests and hills, the groundwater recharge zones, cleaning up rivers, protecting the green spaces, or even everything from urban mobility to strengthening public transport, a sound waste management. Everything that I've said right now is a failure. If you just kind of go back the whole year and we start even taking up every single published article from the governments, various governments of various cities, you will see that all that was just PR, because on the ground it's very, very different. Like I just even mentioned yesterday, in my own neighborhood, in 52 degrees, they were cementing the back lanes in many South Delhi colonies, or they are heavily pruning and compromising the trees. So these are the things that we need to work on. There a faulty project of
hugely
covering a
concerning,
stormwater drain
Bhavreen,
needs
hugely concerning,
decades
least to say.
Yeah, please.
That's true. In fact, it's just 30% of stormwater drains. It's just 30% of drains in Delhi that really have been desilted. That's also a reality. But R.S. Patania, let me come to you.
Please.
Look at all of this unfolding in India. You have the Delhi roof, the Delhi airport roof. You have the Rajkot fiasco in the airport. You have the Jabalpur catastrophe at the airport. And I'm talking only airports at this point. There's a lot of tutu meme that keeps happening between the center and the state, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But who's going to take responsibility?
Neha, this is really a lively issue and which has been hogging the headlines in almost all the news channels. And I thanks the Mirror now for raising this lively issue on your platform too. You see, there are 3 or 4 aspects of the matter. Number one, that since the past 88 years, this is a record precipitation which has been recorded in Delhi as well as certain neighboring metro cities too. Number two, the way we are planning our rain harvesting.
Okay, I'll come to that. You make your point. Let me allow you. Go ahead.
Please. Secondly, the way we have been planning our cities since the past 10, 20 years, 30 years also. I'll just refer to Dholavira. Dholavira was a Harappan civilization city almost 4,700 years back. And the way the rain harvesting was planned by Dholavira, this is one of the model, still stands up as a model to the entire world. So I think we need to give a new rethink to our urban planning.
Models की बात नहीं चल रही है. We are not talking about models. We are talking about what exists.
Yes, that
आप लोग government में हैं. I've not even come between the centers and the states. I'm saying you're at the central government. There are 3 airports that are collapsing. Roofs are collapsing, canopies are collapsing. What are we talking about, sir? What model are you talking about?
I don't want myself to be trapped into that agreement, that argument that 2009 and 2014 and 15 and then 2023 when the who built it and whose building collapsed, things apart. I think the civil aviation minister has been very clear, very candid. He had said there should be an inquiry, it should be fixed. Yeah, anybody with regard to that charges of corruption and slackness, law will find its own course. One part. But secondly, is there any space to play politics over such a sensitive issue? I say it creates and it virtually opens the vent for bigger and for more sensitive and for more fumigated issues which need to be taken up, which need to be addressed, which need to be fixed, and we need to have a long-term planning for the next 10, 20 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years also. So my point remains the way the tutu may
So there are master
unfolding
plans
on the
and
biggest budget and the
unbelievable master
parliament
plans which just don't work out practically. Whether
should
it
be.
be master plan of Rajasthan, whether it be master plan of Delhi, whether it be master plan for Bihar, they are
No
an
dispute about it.
absolute failure from whatever we have been able to see till now. And every official you would speak to off record would say just that. Neeraj Mishra, how would you look at what it is? Now, you know, Nitish Kumar was a part of the India Alliance and he was the chief minister of Bihar. You have the bridges that are there. 5 of them have collapsed in 11 days. R.S. Patania says, I don't want to get into which airport was constructed when and gives out a series of dates. But now Nitish Kumar is with the NDA. So what do we do? Politicians jump the wagon. Politicians don't need to do. But at the end of the day, it is people who are literally suffering. Imagine AIIMS in Delhi. The super speciality premium hospital of India had to stop functioning because water was inside its trauma center. What are we talking about, sir?
Look, Sneha, I totally share your concern. And as a responsible representative of a responsible political party, I would like to tell you that this government, though I don't want to politicize this issue because this is very important for each of us, but this government has been working for optics and they have been doing politics over infrastructure. You tell me that NHAI, which has been the premier body for developing this infrastructure when it comes to road, is in a situation at this point when its debt to GDP, debt to the construction which it is making is over 100%. 1/4 of the budget allocated to NHAI goes in repayment of whatever they have borrowed from all the other lenders. When it comes to railway safety, we have been making tall claims that we have developed something called as Kavach, which was an anti-collision system. And we have been seeing in last 2 years how many railway accidents have been happening. When you are talking about constructing big bridges, Atal Setu is there in front of you. So the entire thing comes down to this, that the government has been doing only headline management. Their emphasis on quality infrastructure has not been there. And on a lighter note, what the BJP spokesperson was saying, when was it built? I think they should blame Newton, because if he wouldn't have discovered gravity, that roof would have not come down. Because ultimately, this government is non-serious
Okay, the truth
about
remains.
what the
Bhavreen, last question to you. Bhavreen, we are out of time, but I want to take the last question to you. This is what happens. Every political party will say, you are responsible. Now, AAP is responsible for Delhi. There were Congress before, BJP MPs, MLAs, all of them. I mean, it's a blame game. How does a citizen, how does an activist, how does a person who's concerned about how to survive in this country maneuver their way around?
Well, this is the problem, Sneha. You put it there, but this blame game is where we are just going to get nothing. And I think now citizens have to really, the way they are angry, they must translate their anger into ways of bringing these officers who are responsible, the political parties who are responsible for the, into prosecuting them and making them accountable. Children are dying in the city. They have, the children who got buried. There are all these other deaths, the airport, ceiling falling. I mean, this is not acceptable. The AIIMS trauma centers under thing, how many operations and probably how many patients have suffered or maybe meeting the same fate. So this is absolutely not acceptable to the citizens, and it's high time people have to be named, they have to be prosecuted, they have to be jailed.
Okay,
only
all
then
right.
This is going to go forward. The master plan if anybody has the guts right now, especially the ruling parties, they have to study the master plan 2041. When they asked for comments, the citizens came up, the experts have given hundreds and thousands of
master plan is really becoming, and I wish I could come to Dr. Sudhir Krishna at this point. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, we were waiting for you, but I believe you were very late. There was some technical issue and you couldn't join us. Unfortunately, we are totally out of time, Dr. Sudhir Krishna. I'm being told to wrap. I'm just not able to come to you, but thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Sudhir Krishna. Okay, let me just come to you. Anyways, you've taken our time, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. If you could just tell us, do you really believe that master plans are practically workable plans with your experience?
It is really workable, but it requires support from all organizations, all departments. The government must back up. The master plan is so beautiful. Delhi master plan is excellent. Any master plan you take, of course, one can always improve on it. But what happens is that people are violating master plan. For example, in Delhi itself, the master plan has proposed a lot of open areas. It never proposed jhuggis and so on to come up on the embankment of nalas. The master plan never permitted that. But it still came, and the governments kept on regularizing the same. People converted single-story building to four-story around the nalas. So nalas got choked, So one of the major reasons why flooding is happening is that. There are administrative reasons also. The drains are not being cleaned.
Mr. Krishna, as I said, Dr. Krishna, as I said, we are totally out of time. I really wish I could have spent more time listening to you. Unfortunately, we are totally out of time. R.S. Pathania, Neeraj Mishra, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, as well as Bhavreen Kandhari, thank you very much for joining us. This is hugely disappointing for every citizen across the country. Thank you very much for joining us. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thank you.